That's what's bothering you, right? How do you get, 3 letters? Pulsed width modulation. You ever hear of that? You might have a power supply that has PWM on it. If you have an Aristocrat trained engineer, there's 2 settings on the back. One's linear and one's PWM. What PWM is, you take a pin that can either be on or off. 5 volts, 0 volts, right? What happens if you turn that pin on and off real rapidly, like I'm talking 10,000 times a second, so that it was on half the time and off half the time? Like this. On half the time and off half the time. You're going to see about 2.5 volts, aren't you? If you have it off more than it's on, you'll see less voltage. If it's on more than it's off, you'll see more voltage. And if it's on all the time, you'll see all the voltage. That's all PWM is. And believe it or not, that little chip for $3 has PWM built into it. So I'm going to go, there's the program, and I'm not going to explain that other than to show right here the PWM command. You give it 2 variables. You give it something called the period, and you give it another variable that tells it how bright to be, and it works. Let me show you that. And for that, I go here. I got to throw the right switch, though. Otherwise, it's really stupid. Okay. Come on. Help me out here. There's a delay. Are you in the delay, or did I break it? Okay, that's not good. Let's try another one. Ah. Did you not travel well? Why are you not working? This was a major... I did... Needed to reboot that little baby. And let me show you. There's one LED. That's one bright LED. Can you see it stepping up and stepping down? Here's a series of 5 LEDs. Not bad? How about this one? Let me turn those off. That's a halogen bulb. I'll tell you a quick story about this. I apologize to those of you that have heard me talk before. I did one of these in my backyard. First night I put it out in my pond, which is, we sleep on the 2nd floor with Venetian blinds into the backyard. Every 18 seconds, the ceiling lit up. That's when I did this, and I put LEDs in it. Now the ceiling lights up, but you have to look for it. I do want to show you one other thing in a couple of minutes about this, so I'll just let this run. Hopefully that won't bother anybody. Okay, questions on the lighthouse? Okay, we're going to carry this a little further. The transistor makes it possible to drive a very bright bulb. Would you agree? Yes. What if I put a motor on there instead of a bulb? I have, in my bag of tricks, a motor. I'm going to unplug Mr. LED.
You should be doing a TV show for kids.
I used to do that. I get paid for that. It was called teaching. Now, again, you may not see this real well, but did you hear it wind up and then down again?
No.
Can you see it? That's a motor. Now, oh, you can hear it. That's how DCC controllers in a train operate. That's how they get different speeds. They change the PWM, and sometimes you ever hear a motor kind of whistling? That's because of the pulses that it's getting, making it a little bit crazy. Okay, I'm going to stop that because that bothers you. All right, let's continue. PWM. The size of the motor is only limited by the size of the transistor. I have a transistor at home that weighs about 1.5 pounds. It's from a light rail transit vehicle. That's a big motor. But this chip could operate a light rail transit vehicle by using the right transistor. Okay, now we can control lights, motors, turnouts. Turnout. Isn't a turnout motor just a motor? One way or the other? Relays. Most electrically powered devices. Okay, digression number 2. Questions? Okay. LEDs have certainly come a long way in the last 10 years. Do you remember when LEDs you didn't know for sure if it was on or not. They were that dim. And you know, if the sun was out, forget it. Okay. Now they're bright enough to be used as headlights on locomotives. You saw the LEDs on the lighthouse were pretty nice. Groups of LEDs can be configured to do some remarkable things, such as, not bad, the top one is 7 LEDs. The bottom one is 4. And I've got a number of people that have installed these in G-scale engines because this will fit in a diesel engine. And it looks very nice, particularly from a distance. And that's PWM. It's actually brightening one bulb as the one before it in sequence dims.
Is that a little bit fast though for a Mars light?
Oh, I can slow it down. How slow do you want it? Somebody was fooling around. Am I going the wrong way? I'm on the wrong chip. How's that? You can adjust it any way you want. Okay, Mars light. And there's the LEDs. There's 7 of them in an array. Or ditch lights. You see the little ditch light guys? The thing that's interesting about this, I'm controlling that with 1 pin. You notice that neither of them are ever off. I've got the LEDs wired backwards. So as one gets brighter, the other one gets dimmer. But it's PWM. It's also set up so that the speed at which they flash can be dependent upon the voltage on the track. So when it's going slowly, they flash fast. Okay, you get the idea. And there's that. I love this one. I love this one. This is brand new. And I didn't bring it. It's brand new. I saw it. Aw, rats. I like this. Little preface. This is just the front of an engine that I had in my junk box. This is 1 LED. And those of you that are in the front, I apologize ahead of time. That's 1 LED. This, yeah, how about that? These have been available for about 6 months. And I've changed a jumper here. I can go to solid on. But could you read by that? You betcha. 1 LED. Yeah. I could have put this in my lighthouse, huh? Sort of a Mars light. From a distance, I'm kind of anxious to put this in one of my engines and run it outside at night and see how it looks. Okay. Very, very bright LEDs. I've got one more LED I want to show you right here. You going to work? Oh, I changed. Thank you. Yes, you're paying more attention than I am. I changed it to motor and never switched it back. Thank you. Boo. That's the same type of LED. That's called a Cree, C-R-E-E LED. I get them from a fellow in China. The only downside to it, they're relatively expensive, $5-6 a piece, and they have to have a heat sink, an aluminum heat sink on the back of it, because they get hot. Now in this application, you might be able to get away without a heat sink because it only runs 1 second out of 20, but it still has to be, you have to be careful with it. Okay,